Well, welcome back to Classic Working Vehicles. I've come home with something else. It's another Unimog 421. And as you can probably work out, it's come off an airfield. It was a snow cutter for removing snow off the runway in the winter. And why did I buy it? Well, there's three reasons why I bought this particular Unimog. Stuff that's come off an airfield particularly appeals to me. If it's snow removal gear, unlike ones that are used on the road, on an airfield no salt's used, so you get far less corrosion in the vehicle. And that's true of this one. There is some rust spots in the cab, there always are, but they're pretty minor. It's 1974, this Unimog, and it's actually got very little corrosion in it. So that's one good thing. Another good thing is that they were well maintained when they were used on an airfield, because they had to be ready to go at a moment's notice. It was important that it was working to be able to keep an airfield or an airport open. So usually kept in a building, serviced on a schedule rather than based on mileage, and kept up to good condition. Where they can sometimes suffer is once they've finished their airfield life and maybe they're sat in a yard somewhere or with a dealer for a long period of time. But this one, by the looks of it, hasn't been sat outside very long. So that's another good thing. And the third good thing is how few miles it's done. This has actually done 782 miles since 1974. When I look at the hours meter on the engine, it's done a bit over 400 hours. So I think that's correct. So it won't have done very much. It is registered for the road. Whether it ever went on the road, I don't know, but it is registered for the road as well. So these are all real plus points for the vehicle. So what am I going to do with it? Well, I'm going to probably change it to a more agricultural specification. Remove the Schmidt cab with the forward-leaning screen. It's a bit of an ugly brute at the moment, so I want to improve its looks a little bit. Give it a standard, probably soft top and windscreen. And also the bonnet. Not sure whether it was done by Schmidt or not. It looks quite well done, but it may well be the original of the vehicle or a modification that was done later. But the bonnet has been modified to increase cooling, as has the front grille, and it's all a bit ugly at the front. So I want to put that back to a more standard specification as well. The rear body is basically the standard rear body, although it's got metal sides rather than wooden sides, which would be more correct for 421, and I suspect they've been changed at some point, but they've been quite well made, so I might well keep them. Body is lengthened. It would have had a donkey engine in the back, a large Mercedes 6-cylinder engine, just for driving the snow cutter on the front. Would have had a prop shaft running all the way underneath to drive the snow cutter. And that's all been removed, which is fine. I don't need any of that, but I will return the body to a more standard length. So it has the 6-speed gearbox. It doesn't have the cascade gearbox, but what it does have is the crawler gearbox. So that means first and second in the main box can go into a much lower range. So that's useful in an agricultural setting as well, if you're doing hedge cutting or something like that and you want slow speed. So that's rather useful and a little bit unusual to have that setup. It's got 4-wheel drive, it's got diff lock, this is your handbrake. This would have been the lever for the clutch for the snowblower, so that's now redundant and will be removed. Found the air gauge, so the air pressure gauge. This white one doesn't seem to move. We do build up air pressure, but the needle doesn't seem to move. Fuel tank works. Water temperature gauge doesn't work. I don't know if it's the gauge or the sender. All things that are fairly typical of it being stood for a long time. There's quite a bit of modification work when they fit this cab. This whole console at the top, this black console, was put in by Schmidt, and you've got separate key for the engine that would have been in the rear body for powering the snow cutter. So that's your rev counter and temperature and fuel, and its own fuel tank for that, which comes to life, but there is no fuel tank there, it's been removed. And various other lights. It's got a heated windscreen, which makes sense on a vehicle that's designed to be used in the winter. Got a hatch here, so I guess if you're in really deep snow, it's a way of getting out of the cab. tyres are really good. Tyres are new or nearly new. Under the bonnet it looks good. There's a few cobwebs, but it doesn't seem to be particularly oily. Can't really pick up on many leaks. So that's all good. Lighting, well, the indicators don't work. Headlights and things do work, but you know, they're all things I would go through as I look over the vehicle. So now I've got the latest Unimog in the workshop. I think what I'm going to do, because I'm a bit short of space in here, is get rid of this extension that they put on to be able to fit the engine in there when it was the snow cutter. And most of this just is held on with nuts, bolts and pins. In fact, even things like the lighting are just on plugs. So it is designed to be pretty easy to remove. The floor though, the extension to the floor has been welded on. I don't know if that's original or not. Those welds, they look more like something that's been done in the workshop rather than in the factory. So a little bit of cutting to take that off, but I'm hoping it's not going to be too big a deal to remove this. And it's here where this panel is, where the body should end. And even though I'm only going to lose about a foot, it's something I'm going to want to do anyway as I convert it to a more agricultural spec in the future. So I thought I might as well do it now, get a shot of it, and that'll give me a bit more space in the workshop too. So there's some rust in the door top. I'm hoping it's only in the door top because these are going to go anyway. So we'll take it off and see what's happening. There's a little bit of corrosion in here, but not too bad, all things considered. There's corrosion in the door anyway, so I'm going to have to do some work on it, but pretty good really, all things considered, given that's probably been on there 50 years, and you can see it's wet. Now in terms of getting the cab off, I think it's just 4 bolts picking up on existing mount points. So this would be where the folding hood would be bolted in, and there's a socket head bolt here, which is what would clamp the folding windscreen in the upright position. So I'm going to start by undoing these bolts and then just trying to lever up the roof a little bit, see if that's loosened it off, and if it has, I can then use the overhead crane to take it off. That's my plan. Looks like this inside now. So I've sort of taken it down to the standard cab height, and certainly not taken out all the additional wiring that Schmidt put in, but a lot of it I've taken out. So now hopefully I can start getting to a point where I can lift the cab off fairly soon. Taking the door top off this side already. There's a few changes. One of the things I did so the driver could get a bit of view of the snow cutter and what they were doing is the driver's seat and passenger seat are both raised. They're just on an additional mount here, which I can take out. But a more significant change is the steering column, both the angle of the steering wheel and how far it is back from the dashboard. So really I want to modify this back to the standard setup. Not quite sure how I'm going to do that yet. Either see if I can find the correct steering column. That would be probably the easiest way. Or what I might need to do is take out this universal joint and weld this steering shaft, probably put a sleeve over it and weld it back together. Undecided. Don't need to do that yet, it can come later. I think I'm at the point where I can lift the roof, the Schmidt roof, off the Cabrio cab now. But to be able to do that, I need to get this under the overhead crane. So I need to turn it around. At the moment, but I think it has the makings of a really nice vehicle with the very low mileage, the lack of corrosion, but clearly if we're going to make it look more like a normal U421, going to have to modify the front end and things, but certainly I think looking a lot better without that ugly roof. Anyway, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.